This is one of 3 helicopters out here fighting this fire, grabbing water from the Arrow Rock Reservoir. Now there was a protest. There was a protest at St. Luke's outside Meridian that was reported at 1,300. This is definitely bigger than that. It's hard to count because it's so long. When we arrived here just before 3 p.m., there were 2 cars that were blocked off by police officers. There was 1 car that appeared to have bullet holes in the passenger side window. That bottomed out this boat overnight. With another 2 vertical feet tomorrow, it'll be left completely on the shore. And there was a big common denominator. My well is drying up. I don't know what to do. Kim, the people we talked to, they had to pause in between questions and wipe the sweat off their forehead. Honestly, a lot like myself right now. Further downstream, like they mentioned, it gets warmer. That's good for fish like bass. The vaccination status, we'll get this over with at the top, is unclear right now. Cleo's family did not feel comfortable talking to us about that. And it's long and it gets real dense up at the top. We'd show you that big cluster, but we can't manage on live TV with signs that some of them having profanity. We do have some video about what this protest has looked like, what some of those signs show. We'll go ahead and roll that for you now. So I talked to some people today. They looked cold, didn't have coats. I asked them why. A lot of them told me they've looked, but have had no luck. Technically, it's not even winter yet, but Angel Summers is already feeling the chill.
It's a matter of survival, so, you know.
Angel says this will be her second winter experiencing homelessness, which concerns her as the nearby shelters have limited space.
They don't even have the capacity for everybody that's cold to stay warm. So there's a lot of people just nowhere to go.
Interfaith in Boise says this is an annual problem.
We're always full.
The shelter aims to keep people facing homelessness out of the cold, but they have to turn away 15 to 20 people on the coldest nights.
It's a significant amount that are not able to be served by our shelter. So that's really hard for us, and the demand's higher.
Frederick Hart is one of those people.
Every night.
He's been homeless for 5 years and says without the proper winter gear, freezing to death is a real danger when sleeping on the streets.
You got to dress properly, you got to wear everything that you got to pretty much to stay warm.
But as Angel learned, winter clothes are in high demand, and finding the gear you need isn't easy.
I've got like St. Vincent de Paul has a program, and I got a voucher, and we went to one of the stores, and like the shelves are just, there aren't coats to choose from.
There's some, but you're not going to wear one that doesn't fit. The need's real.
A local nonprofit, Catch, took notice. They collect donations each year and are making a strong push to fill this winter's need.
It's huge right now, and I would have to say usually we have a few more donations already than we have this year, so there's a little bit of urgency.
Hats, coats, blankets, scarves, and even flashlights, they're all in high demand.
Dozens of times a day, the street outreach team is running into people who are saying, I'm cold, I need warm gear. It's dangerous out there as far as the weather goes.
A simple donation could make a difference this winter.
You got to have clothes, you got to have something to wear to keep you dry.
Because it's only going to get colder from here.
Until I find a coat, just layer up like I have been, you know, as many long sleeve shirts as you can, and try to stay moving, try to stay busy, drink warm stuff, and just do the best you can.
Interfaith tells me that they're seeing newer faces now, and they don't have exact numbers for us, but they do believe that the homeless population in Boise is increasing. Now, if you want to help be part of these donations, you can do that at this location. I'm just off the connector. This is Americana next to me. This is where Catch says you can offer those donations. There's also other places you could do that too. We'll have all the supplies they're looking for and places you can make those donations on our website at ktvb.com. Shira, some local businesses are having a hard time finding the skilled workers they need, and they say a partnership just makes sense. The help wanted signs are everywhere.
And this has been going on for the last couple of years.
And finding workers to fill those roles isn't easy.
It's getting even harder.
Especially for the trades. Because they're hiring for a specific set of skills.
But we end up having to interview about 25 people to find one good candidate.
Mike Dale owns Royalty Electric and says there's enough work in the Treasure Valley for his company to triple in size. But he's been blocked from expanding because he can't find enough electricians to hire.
We no longer look around for the guy that's been in the business for 20 years and who's seen everything. We're looking for people, young people that have potential to want to work, to want to do their job with excellence.
So he's turned to Elevate Academy, a 6 through 12 technical school in Caldwell.
English, math, science, and social studies is taught directly within a trade. So they're really taking total control of their own education.
Some students choose welding, while others are drawn to carpentry. And all students have to have a job lined up in order to graduate.
If it wasn't for this school, I possibly could have dropped out of high school.
Katie Martinez enrolled at Elevate when the school started 3 years ago. She's most interested in manufacturing and is working toward an internship with Peterbilt.
Being able to just have that head start and figure out what you like and what you don't like, what kind of path you want to create for yourself in the long run, is so beneficial at this age, because we're figuring out who we are right now and what we want to become.
It's stories like these that benefit local businesses too, as they're trying to fill job openings.
I think the fact that the school here is so responsive in terms of career placement is really kind of their secret sauce.
And most importantly, find the right candidate.
And so we appreciate Elevate Academy and that they're teaching all of those principles ahead of time.
Elevate's founder tells me they also have culinary, firefighting, even business classes, graphic design. So they serve a wide range of interests, and the students I talk to say that Elevate puts them in a position to succeed. They introduce them to local businesses, make that connection. But after that, Mark, it's on the students to foster those relationships because, like I said, if you don't have a job, you can't graduate. They say this crash changed their lives, and they're thankful to be alive because on that day, 34 years ago, one of the most mundane decisions saved their lives. It's a lost art, collecting old newspaper clippings, usually for moments you want to remember.
Just to process what had happened was pretty crazy.
But sometimes it's for a day you could never forget.
It was kind of cloudy and a little bit misty, rainy, that type of thing, and snowy. The weather wasn't very good.
It was 1987, Continental Flight 1713 from Denver to Boise. The plane wasn't fully de-iced before taking off, and it barely left the runway. 11-year-old Jennifer Allegreza was on board with her father, Tom.
The plane went up about 100 feet and turned upside down, and then it landed on its roof and crashed and then broke apart. And I yelled right away. I said, "Duck your heads, we're gonna crash."
Slid for a quarter mile upside down, and the plane is split apart. And so if you imagine that where the plane split apart was like a shovel, it was digging into the dirt at the end of the runway, and that was flying up in our face, along with snow and gravel and rocks and everything else.
The crash killed 28 people, including 3 crew members, but Jennifer and Tom walked away with minor injuries. The difference between life and death, a last-second change to their seating assignment.
I was going to do a talk at an outfitters meeting on Monday, the next day. So I wanted to sit in back with my secretaries so she could take notes and type it up for me. And so I moved everybody from the front of the plane to the back of the plane. The seats that we originally had, where the plane split apart towards the middle front, we would have been dead because they all died there.
The person that was sitting in the seat I was supposed to be in isn't here. And so there's a reason I'm here. I'm still, every day waking up trying to figure out what that is.
You can't see the scars on their body because they have none, and their minor injuries have faded. But the emotional toll, that hasn't faded in the slightest. 34 years later, those scars are fresh.
Slow motion, it's like I'm still there.
Preserved like the ink in a laminated newspaper clipping.
And the girl right in front of me died. While I was talking to her, she died. And that bothered me a lot, the most of anything.
Now the family still flies, and they actually boarded a plane 2 days later to get home. They celebrate the anniversary each year with flowers and have a big family dinner. It's an annual reminder for them to live their lives with gratitude. Yeah. And one thing to clarify, Tom actually downplayed his injuries to me a little bit. I just talked with Jennifer on the phone, his daughter. She says that the crash broke his hand, which is actually a problem for him getting back to work. So he was a little too humble when we spoke earlier.